Greetings, people who probably ended up here by mistake. So to wrap up my Bloopers to Blues set of videos, I'd like to mention first two ironies. Irony number one, I failed, which I mentioned. I failed at developing a comprehensive non-modal scale chord system with alternating major minor chords. I failed. But while I was failing, I got a surprise. And the surprise was I stumbled onto what I call idiomatic alternation of tones. And I call it specifically the Mississippi Meld. I think it's an appropriate fitting name. I think it honors those who discovered it and invented it down there in the Mississippi Delta. And I also realized that there's three ways that I developed to come to the blues scale, a non-modal blues scale. There's three ways, which I talked about. Okay, irony number two was I failed again. I failed at creating a perfect chord type for my System 2000 chord notation. In other words, an extra type, another type to use with my types of chords that I have in my system. I failed. In other words, I have the 5 types here, but I wanted to add this to it, and I couldn't make it work. I just couldn't nail it. But while I was failing, excuse me, I'm having some allergies here today. While I was failing, I put to good use a theoretical chord, a theoretical perfect chord, and I used the perfect chord in a non-orchestral way. Not for composition, not for writing, not for making lines of music for your lower registers, just for theory, Because the perfect chord facilitates serviceable chord combinations. And I combine my subject tones with my aggregating tones, and I get something. So this perfect chord here, though it might look a little goofy, it came in handy, And one thing I failed to mention, I'll say it real quickly, and I might do this in a future video, is you have the perfect 4 here, but in relation to the C, this could be a suspension tone, and it has this natural tendency to want to resolve. Also, the G and the C, look at that. You have, let's say you had a C up here, you had your octave of your C, you would have, the C would be the 4th in relation to the G, and that would be a perfect 4th, and it would be a tone that tends to want to resolve too. So you have a double urge for resolution with this chord. I want to talk about that in the future, but for now, I want to show you that I used that theoretical chord, and it worked out well. Worked out very well. So these were the two ironies. There were 2 big failures, but several surprises. Now, I want to talk about quickly, what did I discover through this process? It took years, it took God knows how long. What did I discover? Well, one of them, which we already know, is, the first one was the perfect chord, which we just talked about. We talked about the perfect chord, theoretical, non-orchestral, and it can be used, and it has potential for the future. We're going to hold on to it. I'm not going to scrap it. And I discovered the subject aggregating scale relationship. Actually, I invented that. And the reason being is because I mentioned this repeatedly. In the harmonic series, in this octave here, twice the minor third interval is emphasized. And I'm thinking, twice? Why twice in the same octave? So I thought maybe it referred to something happening twice in the harmonic series. But then it occurred to me, maybe it was saying twice meaning something profound in the harmonic series, number 1, and twice, number 2. The number 2 part, maybe the minor third, has something to do with a totally different scheme or a totally different concept. You see, twice. So, in fact, I mentioned this here, how the harmonic series was brought to the world through publications at a certain time. Here's your dates, In other words, these guys said, here's this thing, we're showing it to you, it's out there, it's real, all right? You're exposed to it. And then the Circle of Fifths, this publication came out, and for the first time, this guy, this Ukrainian man, Nikolai, he showed a chart. Well, it wasn't like this, it was different, but he showed a Circle of Fifths for the first time. And so you see that these two systems, for me, just for me, have something in common. There's something going on here. So when that minor third was featured twice in the harmonic series, maybe it was saying, Joey, look at the minor third here, and look at the minor third here. Twice. That was very important. Right? Didn't mean to labor on that. And then blues scale formation was a big feature of this discovery process. And of course, the traditional blues scale is modal. We talked about that. If you want a blues scale, just go find a minor pentatonic. You can learn the minor pentatonic for each key that you're playing in. Everybody knows about that. Most people know about that already. They know this, and I told you in my videos. Now, I just said C because we're using a C tonic here. It could be anything. But in this example, you see that the minor pentatonic clearly is a mode built from a scale. It's a mode, all right? It's an offshoot, all right? So you see that if you want to learn the blues traditionally, you're going to have to learn every minor pentatonic scale so you have the one that goes with the correct tonal center, all right? Now, in my case, I have 3 ways of getting to the blues scale. The first one was from my book, my publication. It shows you how to make a blues scale. And these are the enharmonic names, by the way, so it works out just fine. Right? Then I showed you this one here, and I first approached that scale. I first got there through chord substitution. I started out with a major chord, trying to develop a system, and I failed. Remember that? Failure. So I did what jazz musicians do. They're great at this. They're experts at this. I substituted a perfect chord for the major chord, and then I made some progress. I got these tones, which you saw in the video. I got those tones, and I put them together, and then I moved right along. Okay, I moved right along. Now, another thing I discovered. Oh, let's talk about this here. The systems that I use, the non-modal, are in essence standalone. They're kind of independent. And that's a beautiful thing. They're non-modal. So my 3 ways of doing it are non-modal. Traditional is modal because you're using that minor pentatonic. Right? Now then, one of the beautiful things that I really enjoy was the concept I named it Idiomatic Alternation, but I gave it a proper name, and I call it the Mississippi Meld, to honor the Mississippi area, the Delta, and honor the people who invented it. All right? And I used the perfect chord substitution technique. I used, remember, number 3 and number 4. Now, if you're paying attention and you're a smart viewer, which I'm sure you are, you're saying, oh, wait a second, Joey. They're almost identical. Why do you have 2 almost identical things there? And I say because I needed this. I needed this theoretical chord to give me the idea and the confidence to try the circle of fifth approach. Oops, circle of fifth approach. You see, it's step by step from my mind because it took a while. It took a while. So yes, I have both, and both work. But that would answer your question if you say, oh, they're too close or too similar. So there you have it. Now, so the Mississippi Meld, the idiomatic alternation, all right? I showed that in my videos. There's no blues without idiomatic alternation. There's no blues. The blues in this case, we've shown, in my videos, we've shown that it's a relationship between your subject, your perfect chord, and of course your subject tonal center, and your aggregating minor. You can say, well, you just made that up. There's no such thing. It's not even real. Well, it is real. It's as real as this chart. It's not going to go away. It's real. You can see it. Just like an astrology chart. In fact, if I ever get to my astrology videos and my philosophy videos, I'm sure there's something in here. I'm sure there's something in there. But I don't have time for that right now. So you see, there's a relationship between the subject chord and the aggregating chord. And the Mississippi meld is the creative force of the blues. It's the creative force. It's the perpetual alternation of enthusiasm, the perfect chord, enthusiasm, looking forward to the events of life, looking forward to the events of life, excited about it. Eckhart Tolle, the writer, the mystical writer, talks about this, and he says it beautifully. Enthusiasm, right? It's the perpetual alternation of enthusiasm, the perfect chord, and dread, the aggregating minor chord. Dread. Dread is fearing the events of life, fearing the upcoming. What's going to happen today? What's going to happen tomorrow? Blah, blah, blah. I get it once in a while. Everybody does, unless you're a Superman. So the point is, you have the perpetual alternation of enthusiasm and dread, and that's the blues, right? That's what I've been saying repeatedly. The Mississippi meld is the blues. Wrong. No. There are no blues unless you live the blues. They're lived. They're lived. People give me crap once in a while. Some people don't like me because of my style, my manner. But after what I've been through, with the death of my sister and my grandmother and my wife, don't tell me I don't know the blues, because the blues are lived. You see, they're live. They're live. And something that says no to life is evil. When we say no to life, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. I don't care what my parents did. I ain't doing that. The blues are lived. And look at the anagram here, if you can see this. Live, the anagram is devil. See, the devil doesn't commit any sins. The devil never does anything wrong. The devil tries to get you to do it wrong. The devil tries to get you to say no, and to deprive you of great joy. I'm not a Christian. I'm not getting religious on you. I'm saying the blues tells you this. That tells you if you're singing the blues, that means at some point in your life you have said yes to life in some fashion, in some way. When you hug your wife, you hug your child, you hug your son, your daughter, that means you've said yes. And if you don't believe me, well, what does the great Ringo Starr say? Ringo says, got to pay your dues if you want to sing the blues, and you know it don't come easy. And ain't it the truth? So thank you for being incredibly patient over these long-winded videos. I just do the best I can to give you ideas that might be helpful. And that's it. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon.